Hi, my name is Danielle Tolsman, co-director of Family Voices of Wisconsin. As you prepare for Advocacy for Change, it's important to understand the impact family involvement has had in making legislative policy. I'll also share with you briefly the policy process and why this is the right time to connect with your legislator. A little about our organization. Family Voices of Wisconsin is our state's affiliate organization and serves as Wisconsin's HRSA-funded family-to-family health information center. Our work is focused on distributing easy-to-understand information for families and providers, family leadership involvement and support, and policy development initiatives. We are also part of a statewide network serving children and youth with special health care needs, supported by Wisconsin's Title V program. Parents have been advocating for their own families for a long time. It might be at the IEP table or at the medical clinic, maybe working with health professionals on a plan of care, but that advocacy is needed outside your front door too, out in the community. One of those places that needs your voice is as legislative policy is being developed. Here are some examples of how advocacy by self-advocates and families have made great strides in making things better. One example is the 1975 law that said that all children are guaranteed a free, appropriate public education. Before this time, children with disabilities were often not in public schools. Another is the 2010 Affordable Care Act, which says, in part, that individuals cannot be denied health insurance due to a pre-existing condition, including a disability. So why is this the right time for Advocacy for Change? Well, every 2 years, the state goes through a budget process. And right now, we're right about here at the STAR. So we're very deep into the planning stage, approaching the deciding stage. It's a great time to talk with legislators about the programs that could serve you better and about the programs that are serving you well. That way, when the budgets come up, your legislator will have your experiences to reflect on. On February 18th, 2025, the governor is scheduled to give his budget address, which will outline his priorities for the next 2 years. Well, the next stop then for that draft budget document is the legislature, who will refer it to the Joint Finance Committee, or JFC. There, sometimes the JFC will take into consideration the governor's draft budget, and they could make some revisions to it. In other years, they might set the governor's proposed budget completely aside and craft their own from scratch. So either is possible. But regardless, it's an important time to get your perspective and your voice in front of legislators as they're making decisions about what gets funded. The Joint Finance Committee holds open hearings to gather input and feedback from Wisconsinites. And then after that, once the budget bill looks good to them, and they have made all their suggested revisions, it's brought forward for a vote by the Assembly and the Senate before it moves to the governor's desk to be signed into law. So this is when the deciders are making those tough decisions, right? So it's a great time to have these important conversations. And again, both about what is working well and also about what you think could work better, so that when these programs come up, your legislator is already going to be familiar with them and how they work, how they support families. And participation in organized events like Advocacy for Change is a great way to get involved in that process. Here is just one of the reasons why it's so important for families to be in the hallways of the Capitol to be heard. The only way your legislator will know what's important to you and to your family is if you tell them. People who are paid to do this work are called lobbyists. Tens of millions of dollars are spent by them. But the voice your legislator really wants to hear from is yours. Here is a list of one year's top lobbying groups. These groups probably aren't talking about the things that are important to us, which is why your legislators really need to be informed and educated. And who better to do that than the families that live these programs that they're funding every day? Legislators are generalists. They consider literally thousands of pieces of legislation every year. They need to know how something does or does not support your family. It's our job as parents, as advocates, to educate and to inform. Elected officials do want to hear from you. They have this job because they want to do it and do it well. They want to be reelected. They want to help. But remember, they can't help if they don't know, and that's why these visits are so important. If you start to feel like maybe they're too busy or they don't want to hear from you, please remember that these officials have many people, like the groups on the last slide, those lobbyists, who are coming to see them to give their 2 cents too. And so this is where we can do our part to give as powerful of a message as we can, as concisely as we can, by being prepared. And you're doing that now with these preparation activities. Remember that the legislator you're speaking with might not understand your issues, and it's up to us as parents and advocates to help them understand. Telling stories is an important way to help legislators understand your experiences. Stories are what people remember, and they deepen their understanding of the issue, and it really makes it real and human. With this understanding, our legislators can make informed decisions, and having an understanding of how their action or inaction can affect us. And you never know, you might connect in a way you didn't expect to. Finding a commonality or a touch tone in your story reminds them of something in their own. Thanks for being here. I hope this has been helpful as you get ready for Advocacy for Change. We look forward to seeing you soon.